My first ever Stardew video was a 21-day speedrun to reach Ginger Island, which I thought was good at the time, but I can do a lot better. I'm going to cut that down by nearly a week, and start my island vacation by mid-spring. Reaching Ginger Island means gathering specific materials to repair Willie's boat, and my previous videos have relied heavily on the mid-spring desert festival to obtain those materials, but I'm planning on setting foot on the shores of Ginger Island without ever attending the desert festival. So, what's my plan? Normally, I need to go to the Skull Cavern to mine iridium ore, since I need 5 iridium bars for the boat repair. You don't even need to unlock the Skull Cavern before going, as the Desert Festival grants temporary free access. While there, I'd typically hunt down iridium bats to get the 5 battery packs I need, since they have a 5% chance to drop batteries when slain. This is much easier during the Desert Festival, when bats are capable of appearing in very large quantities. In fact, the Desert Festival can even help gather the 200 hardwood I need for the boat repair, as the random selection of vendor stalls might include a trade for 100 hardwood. Something I've relied on several times now, as I've come to favor playing on the Riverlands farm to maximize early money making thanks to the free fish smokers. But the Riverlands has very little available hardwood on the farm compared to other farm options. So if I'm going to finish this run before the Desert Festival, I need a different way to source these materials. My savior? The traveling cart. If you're lucky, iridium bars and battery packs might show up as part of the randomized stock. That wouldn't be enough by itself, as the merchant typically stocks only 1 of each item at a time, and I only have 4 opportunities to visit the cart. However, there's a small chance that any given item will have a stock of 5 instead of 1, and I need exactly 5 bars and batteries. This means I need to find a game seed that will guarantee the very unlikely scenario in which the cart stocks 5 iridium bars and 5 battery packs in a narrow window of time before I need to submit these materials, but late enough that I can earn the money to afford them. Getting 200 hardwood is pretty easy if I use the forest farm, which has a replenishing source of daily hardwood, but that creates a huge problem. Money. My usual bulletproof early game money making strategy involves selling smoked catfish at 900 gold a pop. Recently I've been sourcing the fish smokers by playing the Riverlands farm, which gives you a freebie smoker per cabin on the farm. But the Riverlands have very little available hardwood, and I don't have time to run to the secret woods for 2 weeks straight to gather enough hardwood. I'm going to need to find a way to make enough money while playing the forest farm, and I don't plan on crafting my own fish smokers. Needing a few extra hardwood per smoker is workable, but since I'm never stepping foot into the mines, I'm never going to get my hands on the cave jelly required to craft smokers, and unlocking the fish smoker recipe itself costs another 10k, and I'm operating on a very tight timeline in terms of money. That's because the other condition for unlocking Ginger Island is completing either the community center or Joja's community development form, and I'll be going the Joja route as it's much faster and can be completed by just paying raw money. In total, I'll need 140,000 gold to pay for a Joja membership and all of the associated purchases, and that needs to be completed by spring 12th at the latest, as you don't get access to the boat repair until 2 days after finishing the community center or Joja Mart. I'll need to earn a lot of money fast. I'll need to find a game seed with constant rain to ensure good fishing opportunities. That also includes the required item stocked at the traveling cart. Using the seed finding code located on GitHub and linked in the description, I wrote a simple program to search through all 2 billion possible game seeds to find something promising, and after letting that run for a few hours, I found exactly 2 seeds, with good purchase opportunities at the traveling cart, as well as 7 uninterrupted days of rain from spring 6th through spring 12th, ensuring it'll be raining on every possible day where it matters, as the 1st through the 5th have a set weather pattern that can't be changed. If you'd like to try the seed for yourself, the game only lets you manually type in 9 digits, so you'll have to use a keyboard to paste it in, and I don't think it's possible to use this on consoles. Let's get started. As always, I'll follow a strict set of rules. No abusing glitches, bugs, or exploits, which does include animation cancelling. I'm also not using Legacy RNG, which prevents some speedrun strategies like clay farming for early money. Day 1. The timeline for this run will be very tight, so I want to make sure I'm as optimized as possible. I can't fish until day 2, so I need to prepare the best I can for the following days by using today to earn what money I can and gather wood. I can make a few pennies by selling my starting parsnip seeds, whatever forage I can find, as well as whatever sap and fiber I can gather. I can also make a bonus 250 gold by completing the archaeology quest for finding my first artifact for the museum, and this game seed happens to have an artifact available on the beach. I'll buy a single copper ore to unlock the crafting recipe for the furnace, as I'll be making one on day 3, long before the mines would normally unlock. I'll also pick up some salad to fuel more wood chopping, as I'd like 400 pieces of wood. I want to craft chests for storage, of course, but I'm mainly interested in repairing the broken bridge down by the beach to access the tide pools, since I'll need the coral and sea urchins that appear there to make myself a bait maker to maximize fishing income. Tide pool items spawn randomly and aren't guaranteed by your game seed like some of the other ground forage on day 1. I like to repeatedly create new save files until I get a day 1 urchin to mitigate the randomness factor, but there is a weird quirk of the RNG I don't fully understand that causes it to semi-randomly rotate between a couple possible spawn patterns every time you make a new save file on a given seed. You can force the game to try a different pattern by partially watching the intro cutscene, then skipping it after your farmer takes a few steps off the bus. There's something about your character's step count that's used to seed the RNG for otherwise unseeded random events, and walking in the intro cutscene counts as taking steps, which successfully got me the sea urchin I was hoping to find. Day 2. I can start fishing. I'm taking off at a sprint thanks to these early morning bubbles. Bubble spawn locations and times are seeded, making their appearances completely predictable, so you can scout them out ahead of time before your real attempt, and fishing these makes a huge difference by quartering the average time it takes for a fish to bite. This is very impactful before you have access to a rod of bait to reduce the average bite time. Once the first set of bubbles expired, I had another one ready to go on the docks. This string of bubbles early day 2 is a huge reason I decided to play on the specific seed, because shortly after that expired, I had a third one ready to go. Also helping my rapid progress for the early fishing levels is that today rolled out very good daily luck, which has a small influence on the spawn rate of fishing chests. These are good not just for treasure, but you also get a 2.2 times experience boost from these. By 1 PM, I've pulled in quite a haul of fish, taking me to level 2 fishing and earning me plenty of money needed to buy myself an upgrade, the fiberglass rod. Now I can use bait to halve the average bite time of fish. There was one last patch of bubbles on the beach to take advantage of, which earned me a few more coins needed to stock up with a healthy stack of bait before heading up to the mountain lake, which is a much better fishing location during sunny days in spring. The main reason for using the beach for the early levels was not just access to bubbles, but also proximity to Willie's shop to sell fish and gear up. I got an impressive number of treasure chests today thanks to the high daily luck, which got me plenty of gemstones and artifacts to sell, as well as geodes to crack open. I've done very well today at earning both money and experience, and I need to carry as much momentum as possible into the following days. Day 3. Today's goal is to buy ore and coal. I'll need a furnace, 5 copper bars to upgrade my axe for chopping hardwood, as well as 3 iron bars to craft a bait maker. Speaking of that bait maker, the last piece of coral I need has appeared at the tide pools. I sold some fish to Willie, which made a good chunk of money, but I'm going to need some more money before I go shopping. On my way back to the mountains, I found some cookies in the trash, which is definitely a health concern, but I am going to eat those. I retrieved my collection of gems and geodes from my chest and took them to Clint's. The gemstones were worth a good bit of money, and I found some ore and valuable minerals in the geodes. That helvite is worth a nice 450 gold. Geode RNG is completely predictable, so you can scout for a good outcome from these. I need 45 copper ore, 15 iron ore, and 8 coal. I've got 1 copper ore at home from day 1, but I didn't quite afford all the coal I needed. I should have done some more fishing before my shopping journey for extra spending cash, but while I'm gathering stone for a furnace, I'll see if I happen to pick up some more coal from rocks, treasure chests, or dig spots. I spent the evening melting down bars while fishing at the river, hoping to find some valuable catfish. Catfish, which only appear when it's raining, are going to be the main moneymaker for this run, which should come as little surprise to anyone familiar with my videos. I usually stay out until 2 AM to maximize my minutes, but I went home early to sell fish and organize my stuff, since catfish stop appearing after midnight. Right before bed, I checked a dig spot and found the rest of the coal I needed. Bingo. I've reached level 6 fishing today, which unlocked the recipe for the bait maker overnight. Day 4. 6 AM on day 4 is the earliest moment you can plausibly craft a bait maker given the level requirement, and I'm planning on putting it to use right away. Targeted bait lets you choose which fish you want to catch, and it works roughly 90% of the time. I'll spend a full week using this to catch catfish later, but what can I do to prepare for that while waiting for the rain to come back? My best option is bullheads in the mountain lake. So why bullheads? They aren't the most valuable spring fish. They aren't even the most valuable fish in the mountains. I'm doing this for fishing experience, since I want to race to level 10 to increase the sale price of catfish and make them easier to catch. Landing a perfect catch in the fishing minigame by never letting the fish escape your fishing bar is worth a substantial 2.4 times bonus to EXP earned, and bullheads are unusually easy to land perfects on, because their movement pattern is set to smooth, making them much simpler to land than their internal difficulty value and experience gains would otherwise suggest. Landing perfects also increases the quality level of the fish by one stage, which increases profits. An iridium quality bullhead is just as good as a gold quality largemouth bass. It still doesn't make bullheads the most profitable option, but it does mean I can make a reasonably good income while pulling in ridiculous experience rates. I've got some stuff to buy today. My inventory space has been very restrictive, so I purchased the backpack upgrade so I'm not reliant on bringing chests to every fishing spot I frequent. I then sold my catch from this morning for some extra money to bring over the Clint. I need to upgrade my axe for chopping hardwood. In fact, I'd like to upgrade my axe all the way to steel so I can break down large logs, which means spending several thousand gold and some more iron ore and coal. I'll make those iron bars while fishing bullheads this evening. I fished up about 30 more bullheads, earning a total of 3,250 experience today, skyrocketing me from level 6 to level 8 fishing in one go. Day 5. A normal run would go to the newly opened mines today, but this run is only concerned with fish maxing. I need at least 10k gold for tomorrow to buy the steel axe upgrade and the Joja membership while I'm nearby Joja Mart. Speaking of, I ran to town in the afternoon since I needed to trigger the community center cutscene with Lewis, which is required to unlock the ability to purchase the Joja membership. Otherwise, I spent the entire day fishing. There were several bubble spots in the mountains to take advantage of today, so I was able to catch over 50 more bullheads. I need money for tomorrow, so I went home to offload my catch, earning myself a generous 15k worth of fish I caught today and yesterday evening. I also hit level 9 fishing already, thanks to those wacky bullhead experience gains. Day 6 is the first day that randomized weather kicks in, and thanks to my game seed I have a full week of rain to look forward to. I can earn a lot of money on catfish, but the amount I need to spend over a short time frame is ridiculous. Let's go over that. Tomorrow, I'll have 5 iridium bars in stock at the traveling cart. That's expensive, but this seed happened to select the cheapest possible price of 15k. Every day past that, from the 8th through the 12th, I'll have to spend money buying upgrades from Joja Mart to finish the run on time, totaling a cost of 135k over 5 days. Joja Mart upgrades have to be bought one at a time, so I can't do it all at once. I'll also need 10k more on the 12th to purchase 5 battery packs from the cart, so it's looking like I'll need 160k gold to buy all of that. I've already got some gold on hand, so I'll have to catch maybe 350 or so catfish for the rest of it. I can manage that in a week if I do about 50 catfish per day. I bought the iron axe upgrade from Clint. I didn't factor this into my total cost earlier, but I'm ahead on money so it's no big deal. I also grabbed the Joja membership, as well as a handful of Joja Colas, which briefly boost your walking speed, which is very helpful when running back and forth to Joja Mart all the time. I picked up some very rare and valuable loot from a chest today. Treasure chests sell for 5k gold a pop, and that diamond is worth 750 gold. As tight as my money timeline is, I don't actually need this, but I sure won't complain. I had to turn in a lot of my catfish into catfish bait since I didn't have a stockpile of it going in, but I've got a nice handful of bait and 42 surplus fish. I'm going to need 15k to buy my iridium bars tomorrow, but I want to sell as few fish as possible before I reach level 10 fishing for a sales boost. Since I found that treasure chest today, I can get away with only selling 5 of these fish. Day 7. First order of business today is dropping 15k on those iridium bars I need. I figured I'd scout for some bubbles while I'm here in the forest. The wider river makes bubbles more likely to appear than the town river, which has way less surface area for bubble opportunities. I found back-to-back bubble spots, which was very productive. While these lower quality catfish from the bubble spots do sell for less gold, they will be excellent for making more catfish bait in the bait maker. Speaking of bait, I had to leave the forest because I ran out. I should have carried my bait maker around with me rather than leaving it in my usual fishing spot. I generally prefer to fish in the town when I'm not hunting bubbles, because it's closer to the shops. Today was really unusually lucky in terms of random loot. I found an iridium band, which would be incredible news for other people, but I'll never make use of it since I'm not going mining. I then found another treasure chest, which is just overkill. I don't need that. I would have been fine without either this or the first one. I suppose I can catch a few less catfish, which is convenient. Oh yeah, I later found a second iridium band. I don't know what's going on either. I have no use for those. I caught a surplus of 50 free catfish today thanks to the bubble spawns, which took me to level 10 fishing. I completely maxed out my fishing skill in my first week. Those bullheads really helped me get going. Day 8. A patch of bubbles in the forest lasted for several hours before dissipating. I've got a lot of fish to sell, and now that I'm level 10 fishing, I may as well go cash those out. I'll save the low quality ones for making bait, but I still got a lot of money. Clint finished upgrading my axe, so I'm good to start collecting hardwood every day. While I'm out and about, I'll start on those daily purchases from JojaMart, and since I've got so much money floating around, I'll start with the most expensive one as a flex. I had some bubbles in the forest to return to, and I ended up staying there all day since I didn't have any further reason to walk back and forth, and I managed to catch about 40 more catfish starting from just after noon to midnight. Catfish stop showing up after midnight, which gives me time to gather hardwood every night from the 8 respawning stumps on the side of the forest farm, which is more plentiful and more convenient than making runs to the secret woods. I sold a bunch more catfish, so I'm still all set to continue making Joja purchases. Day 9. I've fallen into a comfortable routine here, and I'm confident that I'm ahead of schedule when it comes to making money. I bought the next upgrade from Joja, I've got enough cash, so I'm just going down the list in order. I've been catching a lot of catfish by spending all day, every day fishing. I've got more silver quality fish than I'll ever need to recycle into bait, so I'll just start selling some of those. I offloaded 70 catfish today since I'm dipping into the pile of silvers, which made 30k. I'm doing pretty well for not having fish smokers. Day 10. Same as every other day for the most part. I bought the 20k Joja upgrade today, so we're looking at 60k gold left of stuff to buy, counting those battery packs I don't have yet. I'm doing fine on catfish bait, so I sold the rest of those silver quality fish from my stockpile and made another 30k. Day 11. Today's purchase is a really cheap one, so I'm feeling pretty rich. I need to spend 45k tomorrow, but I can easily make that money today. I'm going to finish earning gold ahead of schedule. I wouldn't have had a full fishing day available to me tomorrow, since I would have to stop fishing before 5 PM to sell my catch to Willie before he closes up shop. But at this rate, I don't have to do any fishing tomorrow. I expected this challenge run to be super tight without fish smokers, but I got so ahead of schedule with my highly optimized week 1. I'm really happy with how that turned out. Let's cash in the last of my fish and see how much money I've got. Day 12. My midnight hardwood chopping runs have earned me 64 pieces of hardwood before today. There's around 80 pieces of non-renewable hardwood I can chop on the farm, plus 16 from the renewable stumps, so I've actually already picked up 160 of the 200 hardwood needed. Speaking of materials, let's pick up those 5 battery packs from the traveling cart. I'm getting very close to what I need to repair the boat. There's a log blocking the secret woods and 6 stumps inside, so that's another 20 pieces of hardwood for me. There's also a hidden log between Clint's shop and JojaMart, and 2 more stumps near the traveling booksellers area. Time to finish up JojaMart. I've got about 11k gold left over, so even if I never found 10k worth of treasure chests to sell, I still could have finished gathering money by the end of day 11. But even if I didn't, I could have just done some more fishing this morning. I'm done for the day, so I'll head to bed early. Day 13 is a town festival day, so if I fell a day behind schedule, I would have been totally screwed over. You can't buy from JojaMart on festival days, it's closed. On the flip side, if I finished a day earlier, I still wouldn't save any time, because you also can't go repair Willie's boat on a festival day, because his shop is closed. This run was perfectly timed. Willie won't invite you to repair his boat until 2 days after finishing JojaMart. That makes the useless festival day perfect to use as that buffer day in the middle, where I'd have to sit on my hands anyway. Day 14. Willie sent me a letter to come check out his shop and repair the boat. I forgot to finish gathering hardwood yesterday, so let me grab that real quick. All I need to do today is submit the boat materials. 200 hardwood, 5 iridium bars, and 5 battery packs. The boat repair takes place overnight, so I have to go back to sleep for now. I would have loved to finish this run in 2 weeks, but there's too many time gates and forced sleep at the end getting in the way. Day 15. I missed this yesterday due to the rain, but I got the congratulations cutscene for finishing JojaMart. Today is the first day of the Desert Festival, and my whole goal for this video was to make it to Ginger Island without using it. In fact, it doesn't technically start until 10 AM, so I can still make it to Ginger Island before the festival kicks off for real. I ran in and took the boat the moment Willie's door opened at 8 AM, and proudly stood on the shores of Ginger Island just a couple weeks after starting a fresh save file. Time to chug colas and enjoy my summer vacation 6 days earlier than my first attempt at a Ginger Island speedrun. I wouldn't actually recommend following this route, by the way. That fishing was super repetitive, and continuing the file past this point would be awkward, as I never went mining and would get destroyed if I tried to enter the volcano. Other challenge runs with further goals would be better served by using the Riverlands farm to get money more efficiently while having time to go mining and relying on the festival to help with hardwood. You'd get here later, but in much better shape. That's all I've got for now. Cheers.